Derech of Tshuva. We've been beginning a little path, a little derech, to understanding what Tshuva is. And today we'll learn to do Tshuva through the path of the derech, which is something the Ruach Kadosh is meremes to, that every month we should be mechaven, every month of Elul, the time before Rosh Hashanah, to certain particular names of Hashem. The name, what's the mystics called Kasa and Sag. And by thinking and meditating and connecting to those names, we connect to the energy of those names, which is particularly powerful and necessary during the month of Elul, which is what we're going to talk a little about today. I hope you're all doing well in life. So this is going to get a little deep. I hope that's okay with you all. So I keep saying we're going to learn some Kabbalah and then we just talk about whatever we talk about. So today we're just going to kind of move a little fast. It's already nearly Rosh Hashanah, so we can't keep talking about Elul for too much longer, as much as there's infinite Torah on any given subject, including and certainly on the month of Elul. I hope you're well. I hope your Tshuva focus is going well. And we're just going to hit the ground running. Are you ready? Now, it's your job to inform me if the sound begins to cut out. Just still start waving your hands. How's it going so far today? Great. Okay, thumbs up from around the world. Please turn on your video cameras if you can. And if it goes off, you're going to start waving at me, bring me down to earth, and I have a backup plan. It is what it is for a couple more weeks till we can get into our new place. Who knows what the internet will be like there. But we'll throw some money at it and see what we can do. Okay, so here we go. Let us begin. This is very deep and very, very beautiful. Everything we said is really a hakana to begin to understand this. So we said that Hashem gives us a special gift during the month of Elul, the month before Rosh Hashanah, to prepare for Rosh Hashanah. How do we prepare for Rosh Hashanah? By doing Tshuva. Because in the day when we're going to be judged, Hashem loves us and cares for us so much. The judgment is about a partnership. We're co-creators for the next year to come, and everything is going to be generated from that intention of co-creation and what we need to work on. And the challenges we have are only there to purify us, to heal us from the darkness that we carry. So the more we release and the more we purify before the Yom HaDin, before the holy days, then when we get to stand before the court, we've already done such deep tshuva and awakening that we are so energetically open and clear, then all we need and require is just more and more blessing and goodness for the year to come. So that's the intention, and that's the game we're trying to play. Okay. So during this 30-day period, Hashem illuminates and shines into the hearts of all of us the consciousness, the awareness, Hashem. Hashem wants us to come close to Him. He wants us to heal ourselves so that He can bless us and not challenge us in the year to come. And he wants us to know the derech. This is the magic word we're going to talk about today. The path that we should go in it. Im tova haisa Allah. Whether am I going in the right path or am I not going in the right path? The first challenge in tshuva is we don't even know what we should be doing tshuva in. We don't even know what I have to work on. Now, if you say I know, Rabbi, plenty of things I have to work on, that's the second challenge of tshuva. Now that I know what I have to work on, how do I get that breakthrough? How do I find the cause? How do I get that insight? Is it a technique? Is it whatever it is, a meditation? Is it a certain insight that happened to my childhood, a previous life? Is it a certain, now I see the core motivation behind that? And how do I get to it emotionally, internally to shift it around? That's all the second challenge of tshuva. The first challenge of tshuva is often, frequently, Hashem Yerachim, that which we most need to work on, break through it and change, we usually don't even see. Because tshuva always means bringing the darkness to consciousness and awareness. And therefore, the greatest darkness we have, we're unconscious and unaware that the darkness itself is there. It's so much an automated, habituated part of our nature that we don't even think to question it. Is it good? Is it healthy? I just assume that's who I am. So the first thing I need to do is to know the path to go in it. In tova haisa Allah, is this part of my nature? Is this good? Is this healthy? Is this holy? Or the opposite? And the second thing I need to know, you understand, is now that I found it, how do I heal it? How do I release it? How do I change it? Not to say I want to, but really, really make that permanent change that transforms me forever. To turn to a whole new being. Okay, now, so this consciousness, this path, this is the path we're seeking. And the magic word is going to be derech, the path to true tshuva. So what is the special supernatural power of this month? So we've said it's the path of tshuva, but the path to tshuva is the path to awakening to what is the true issue within me that I didn't see, and then what I find it, how to transform it. That I'm able to find the straight and good path to the transformation that I'm most yearning for. Often in my life, I know the things, I know my problems, I know my issues, I know my addictions, and I'm so aware of them. I'm dying every time they come up. It's like, I know. And sometimes we just know that everything's going up for me, and I just don't know why. I don't know why. Just what would we give to understand the root of it, the shorish of it? And to fulfill the mitzvah, the line in Devarim, learn during these times that we should choose life in order that we live. Choose life. Life means the eighth chayim. It means connecting to my soul. It means transforming the darkness into light. It means stepping out of the Eitz Tova and coming back to goodness for myself and my generations after me. And therefore, to be able to choose it, I have to be able to see it. To be able to choose it, I have to be able to see it. So the secret to this path is with the pasuk in Yeshaya, Hashem, a prophetic revelation from Hashem, that Hashem puts within the ocean a path for us to pass through the ocean. Of course, Klal Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, we were in the derech, we were in the Yam, we were in the sea, and there was no path, and Hashem opened up a path. He split the ocean to give us a path through. So this is the pasuk. You should look up this pasuk in Yeshaya 43, line 16. Go to Sephira, you go to your art scroll, you go to wherever you like to go. And this is the secret. The moment V'Shemesh and other Siddiqim say, from the time of Rosh Chodesh, Elul, we should say this line. We should begin to say this line, and saying this line every day and meditating on this line has so many mystical secrets and energetic kind of openings that come to this line. Koyama Hashem, Hashem is announcing, is declaring the following secret, manifesting, revealing a path of energetic potency to allow us to achieve the transformation that we want. Hanoisein biyam derech. Hashem is the one that placed in the Yam, Bayam, is numerical value Ben. Ben is Malchus. The Yam always represents Malchus, the lowest sphera, the sphera which is going through the feminine energy in the world, the Knesset Yisrael, all these bechinas the Psalm talk about. The ocean is below the land. It's the lowest place, so to speak. It's the place of bilbulim, of waves, where we get swept into the water, we get overwhelmed, we drown. It's a place we get drowned by water. Water is taiva, taiva is desire, the samsara. It's the samsara, the ocean of desire of the physical world. It also represents Knesset Yisrael. Knesset is joining like the water, everything becomes one, and it's this higher, holier form. Hashem is going to open up a path for us, Ubamayim Azim Nasiva, and he creates another, supposedly synonymous, is a little bit more that we can go into today, Ubamayim Azim, the strong, overwhelming, chaotic waters of life, he will create for us a way through. Hashem Yisbarach Shemoy Avinu Av Harachaman, because the divine, the infinite, who is also our Father, who Father means the source of light, who has nothing but infinite compassion for us. And because it's describing his nature is that of compassion, Therefore, it's describing an action of compassion, which is the essence, the Yud Gimel Mitzvah, the awakening compassion. Where at the end of the year, where it's Sofer Madregas at the bottom level in the area of Malchus. All of Rosh Hashanah is about Binyan Malchus. It's about rebuilding, reconstructing the female. She's going to go through a process in Rosh Hashanah called the Nesira. The physical world, the lowest level, the body, the feminine is going to get cut off from her source of light and energy. It's the opposite of feminism. It's the binyan of feminism. When a woman goes through trauma, then she finds her courage and she finds her strength and she rebuilds herself so that she can return in a greater power than when she began. That's the process of the Aseres Yemei Tshuva. So it says Hashem, who's the source, the Father. That's already going to the other end of the spectrum. They're the source of masculine energy, of light, of compassion. Me'ir Ora Elyon, Belev Ha'adam, shines down all the way into the Malchus, into our heart, the place of Maya Ma'azim, of overwhelming desires. The heart of a person, Hanimsa B'toich Hayam, that we're living here in this physical world. At the end of the Madregas, the end of the year, when we're overwhelmed by all the issues, but we're so far away from Yom Kippur and Sukkot and Rosh Hashanah last year, where we're standing in the Holy of Holies and we're connecting the highest light. Now we hardly remember who we are, what we're doing. We're overwhelmed by all the details. We're drowning in the Yam. Adam hanimsa b'toich hayam habilbulim shel nisyonis, with all the overwhelming feelings and thoughts and pressures of all our challenges in life. And right there, he allows us, he shows us, he illuminates us, to show a way back to transform ourselves in the world. Or bira inyan. So what's the secret of this line? Hashem had noisein biyam darach. Dehinei tevis Elul. Okay. So the essence of, let's start with here. The essence of Elul is Hashem is going to take the waters when we're drowning and the struggles and the challenges, the document of life, and he's going to show us as a path through that to heal ourselves. Everyone's on the same side? Elyon Belay. He's going to shine a light into our heart. We're going to start to feel and get clarity. Now I know what I'm dealing with. Now I see the path to overcome this. Now I get why these challenges are happening. Now I understand the cause of this thing I've been trying to break through on forever. Has anyone had any of that a little bit in the last few weeks? Little yes, little no. So the hands go up. I'm going to put both my hands up and then surrender at the same time. That's what I'm feeling like in the last few weeks. Feeling I could have surrendered earlier. So how is this possible, and how do we strengthen this light and this opportunity? The Bir Ha'inyan, who the explanation is the following thing. Dehine Tavis Elul b'gematria bina kishmak. Elul is the month of the year. Anila doidi v'doidi li. B'gematria, Elul is the month, is this numerical value. How much is Elul? You can do the math. 6, 30, and 30 is 60. And then 6, 66, and then 1, 67. Fine, wonderful. Is the numerical value of the word Bina, the sphere, the energy of Bina. Okay. So I'm assuming everyone here has had a little introduction to the spheres and a little introduction to elevation and consciousness. And we don't have to go right from the beginning. We can go a little deeper. We don't have to go right from the beginning. Fine. What is the connection between the concept of El and Bina, that they are so fundamentally linked, energetically bound, that they have the same numerical value, which is the Kabbalist version of a wormhole to show there's an energetic connection between these two ideas. What is Bina? Bina, Roy Meisler sphere is Bina, Shehi Makor v'Sharash HaTshuva. All of Tshuva comes from Bina. Sphere is the sphere of Bina is the source of all Tshuva, all return. So what do we know about Bina? It is understanding. So understanding is the root of transformation. We know that Bina is the Ein Kol Chai. Bina is the higher level, the higher female energy. So Tshuva always means to return home, to the feminine, to the home, to the base. Tshuva is all the negative forces are sourced originally in Bina. All the darkness in the world comes from a level of distinction from which it descends, but from which it also can return. That means if we understand the place from which our darkness is sourced in a higher level, and we trace it back, that heals the darkness and reveals the light and the greater meaning, Bina, understanding in the darkness. Fine. So let's understand this. Elul, miraculously, is numerical value Bina, which hints to the sphere of Bina, Shehi Makor v'Sharash Tshuva. That means the essence, energetic power of Tshuva, transformation, is Bina. Kamasha Ama Hakasav. And again, all of this is hinted and also in Yeshaya, Vav Yud. Yeshaya chapter 6, Pasuk 10. Ulavavai Yavin V'Shav. And his heart will understand and then return. So it's amazing. So you see all the secrets of these words are actually in the pasuk itself. Ulavavoi Yavin V'Shav. And the heart understands and returns. So let's understand it. Shabina Shehim is boinanis halev goremes l'tshuva. Bina represents the processing and the thinking through and understanding of the heart that causes it to do tshuva. Now, if you've been around elevation long enough, even 15 minutes, all these things should be intuitive and obvious for you. Let's talk them out briefly before we go into deeper things. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I full of anger or revenge or hurt or jealousy? And why am I attacking people? Why am I always running away rather than engaging? Why am I afraid to make money? Why am I afraid of relationships? Why am I pushing myself too hard to make too much to be successful? What am I trying to prove? So all our darkness works on the premise of unconsciousness, that I don't see it, I don't understand it, I don't think about it. We've said many times, the Yetzer Hara is called by our sages in the Talmud the Sofoni, the hidden one, because it operates on hiddenness from our awareness and consciousness. And when I become aware, unconscious, look at that anger, pain, fear, doubt. Look at that way I'm lashing out on those people. Look at that way I'm so afraid of the awkward feeling of being rejected, that I'll reject myself and be afraid to engage in relationships, right? It's when I begin to see it and notice it, I become conscious of it, and I begin to understand it, and I begin to do a cheshbon hanefesh. Cheshbon is sourced in Bina, a calculation, an assessment. Is this greedy approach to life, is it making me happy? Is it strengthening my relationships? Is it undermining me, right? I don't care. I want the steak. I don't care. I want to be the most successful guy in the office, in the sales. Is that competitive nature helping me? The more I witness it from Bina, the more I understand it from Bina, the more I evaluate it. Is it serving me? Is it not? Bina, Bina, Bina. Then the more I go, so where did this come from? I understand it further in the context of my life and history. The more I say, who could I be if I didn't have it? I'm imagining using the Dinyon, which is from the Malchus of Bina. The capacity to see, to witness, to understand, to choose, to change is all sourced in the consciousness that is higher than the heart. It's higher than the heart. Now, again, I understand in the modern world, there's two ways we talk about the heart. One is the wisdom of the heart, let your heart guide you. But of course, there's another way, the lust of my heart, the fear of my heart, the pain in my heart. So we understand sometimes we talk about the heart as a wise, noble spiritual being. And sometimes we talk about the heart as an animalistic, broken being, which is the root of all of our problems. Which one is it? The answer is, of course, both. When we talk about the externality of the heart, the ego part of the heart, the nefesh of Bahamas, the animal part of the heart, this is the true part of our heart, the external part of our heart. But when we talk about the inner chachma, the divine wisdom, the elevated heart, so that's the higher wisdom. But to begin with, my friends, the heart is the root of our darkness. That is for sure true, as we've mentioned from the Balatanya and other sources many times. And we have to heal it, do tshuva on it, release it, return it by going up to the higher level of Bina. So the energy of Bina now, the level of Bina is the level of intellectual, conscious understanding, analysis, awareness, witnessing, etc. That's Bina. There's a level above that, which is Chachma, which is divine energetic awareness, which is spiritual, deeper, super conscious, intuitive, non-dual awareness. And that's the even higher level. So there's tshuva ilah and tshuva tata. So there's the tshuva that is the supernatural source, higher state tshuva, which we discussed last week, which is coming really from that chachma place. And then there's the tshuva tata, which is the tshuva that we do to logic, to reason, which we discussed last week as well. You understand these two levels. And in fact, last week you said first you have to do the tshuva, bring your heart back to awareness, to consciousness, to analysis, to realization stages. And when we've cleansed that level, then we can take that off, which is called tshuva ma'ava, and move to an ecstatic supernatural awareness. And that's an even deeper, more intrinsic level of healing. Fine. So if you understand that, the first level of Elul, the first awakening is the realization of what I have to deal with, of what's going on with me, of where it's motivating, of what's the cost-benefit analysis, to really get clear. I don't want to keep doing this. It's just not worth it. And now I see the root of it. And now I understand it. And now I feel just the clarity and the strength. I'm really going to stop it today. I have a good beloved friend of mine who's been addicted to weed for like, I don't know what he says, like 25 years, 30 years. He said literally there was not a day he didn't smoke. Appeared like that. And just a few weeks ago, we were out somewhere together and talking, and he went through this whole process. He went on, and literally in a day, he was just like, that's it, I'm done with it. Not because of me, it was something else. It was just decided, it's just this clarity and this breakthrough. And literally now it's been something like 7-8 weeks. He hasn't smoked once at all. And he's telling me every day it's transformed his relationship with his wife, with his children. He said sometimes his children wish he smoked a bit more, it'd be a bit more chilled. But he says he's never felt so clear and strong and liberated, and every part of his life is more dynamic and rich. And it's really, really fascinating. Sometimes the gates of tshuva are closed, and sometimes Hashem can just open that gate of tshuva. It became so clear, the cost, and so clear what the benefits would be not to do it anymore. What does it mean clear? There's something that opened up within him. Right. And he looked at this. Why am I doing this? And what do I need it? And how could I stop it? And here's the root. And that was it. He just did his thing, and the door opened. So it's very, very deep that the energy and the light of the sphere of Bina in the world of Atzilus, the divine energy, pours down into the world during Elul. And that's why Elul hints itself to Bina. Ani l'doidi v'dodi li. Ani l'doidi, Elul says, I will return to my beloved. Where did you get that power of clarity, of objectivity, of need to transform? Because ani l'doidi v'dodi li, the energy of Elul is actually numerical value, gematria, the same as Bina. So our consciousness is opened to witness, to transform, and to be changed, to be returned. And that's from the pasuk itself, Levavoy yavin v'shav, and the heart will achieve Bina and will return. And therefore the heart begins to return. That's really what Rosh Hashanah is about and Yom Kippur is about on a deeper level. But now we're having a time of preparation to do the hard work before the big day starts. Shabinu hu his boidiness halev goremis l'tshuva. The his boidiness of the lave, the thoughtfulness, the meditation of the heart. What is a meditation? Bringing the darkness of the heart to consciousness and meditating on that is what returns the darkness to the light. It turns the heart to tshuva. And he says, Gam, Tevis a tshuva, if you understand the secret, mystically speaking of tshuva. Tshuva is literally to shuv, hey, taf, shin, vav, beis, hey. To shuv, hey. To shuv means to actively return to the hey. Shuv, hey. To shuv, hey. So this is what he says, ki hachet mafrid ben oisius, yud, hey, levav, hey. So we know there's 4 divine letters of the divine name, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey. The Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey. And that's also the structure of the consciousness of a human being. The Yud is Chachma, the Hey is Bina, the Vav is the Lev, and the final Hey is the body. It's the structure of all the Sfirat, the structure of all the spiritual worlds, etc. The structure of all of reality, the Tzelem Elokim. Fine. So what happens is, the secret the mystics say is chet. Chet, which means sin. And sin really means, don't have to think in a Christian way, it means any action that we do thought that we have, words that we speak that go against our soul, that go against our divine nature. Anything that cuts us off from ourself and our true essence. Fine. The chet, the mystics say, it's a big principle in Kabbalah, mafrid bein oisias yud hey levav hey. The chet disconnects the yud hey, the first two letters from the divine name, from the last two letters of the divine name. And that's a very big, deep thing in Kabbalah, what that means. But on a simple level of consciousness, it means it disconnects the head from the heart. Right? The Yud Hey means my spiritual consciousness and my intellectual consciousness gets disconnected from my emotions and my actions. That's why a person who's more engaged in their darkness becomes less conscious. They're living in an insane way. Why am I acting so irrationally? Why am I acting in a habituated way, right? Without thoughts, in such a destructive way, self-sabotaging. It's because I'm disconnected, my lower consciousness disconnected from my higher consciousness, my deeper awareness. So this is the secret. Ki hachet mafrid bein oisias yud hey levav hey mahashem havaya. V'cheshev b'tshuva hu mevi b'chazara es ha'ois hey ila'a zusru bina lahiye ba'oisias vav hey. So what is the essence of tshuva? L'teshuv hey, to return the hey, the higher consciousness, the minds, and to shine it back down into the heart and into the actions. And another way that the mystic says in the reverse, to lift the heart back up to deeper consciousness and deeper awareness. So teshuva literally is the words teshuv hey, to return my heart and my actions back to the hey, back to the hey, back to bina. So El is gematria bina, because Elul awakens tshuva, because tshuva is bringing bina, consciousness, to the midas, and the midas, the emotions, the broken parts of our being, are elevated and aligned and reunited back to our consciousness. And when we do tshuva, we bring the lower world back up to the higher world. We unite head and heart, we unite minds and body, to illuminate, once again, that the higher world should illuminate the lower worlds, and the lower world should be a vessel to receive the higher light, that our feelings will become expansive, divine, extraordinary, joyful, blessed feelings, and our body and our actions will be truly illuminated, energetically powerful, and aligned with the depth of our being. So this is the first step, the first introduction of the connection between, he's just introducing, and those in the Dara. So he hasn't gone into it yet. But first we have to understand, what is the secret of Elul? Elul is the secret of tshuva. Elul is gematria bina. Bina is the root of tshuva. And through this energy of bina that's coming in at this time, we are surrounded, we are saturated with the light of tshuva and change, and it's going to seep into our beings and raise them all up back to the light. Ad can, the first step. Have I lost everybody yet? Let's do a quick emotional check-in. Everyone, one line in the box, where you up to, how this is going for you. One line, descriptive terms. And as we do that, if people have questions, things they seek to clarify, you can raise your hand. We'll take a moment for questions before we go in a little deeper. Yochev is loving this. Glad that's fun to you. Box says music to his ears. Ears are bina. I see what your memories to that. That's very nice. Shifa says, looking to put this into practical application. Right. So that's the feminine, yearning. Classic line. Alex says, good stuff, helpful. Sophie says, it's a lot to take in, letting it soak and fine. So we're going very deep into the theory today. Light to my eyes. Cindy says, I'm here, following, enjoying. Baka says, light to my eyes again. Talking about both eyes, Yamin and small. Han says, needed to sink it in so they can apply it. So fine. So today we're not focusing for a few minutes on the practical. It's okay. We're going to go something deeper, more mystical. But I want you to know, if you're thinking about theoretical, you haven't quite got it yet. There's a powerful energy in the teachings. If you focus on the patterns and models, it itself is healing. It itself is transformative. Kanala says, awed by the secret codes in the gematria. Malka says, absorbing. Any questions, clarifications? I'll give you a moment. Shifa,
Well, I'd like to, so I understand it better. Can you give me an example of how it could be applied?
No.
So not understanding yet, it's still having an effect.
Yes. Just lean into the models and the systems. The learning of Kabbalah is itself an illumination, which is transformative.
But all learning needs to be applied.
Sure. But learning is applying spirituality as well. It's applying it on the energetic field of the mind. Here we go. Any other questions to clarify right now? So let's go a little deeper. Now we're moving deeper into the realm of the Ariya Kadosh. Obesviras Bina, even Bei Shemis Kadoshim. There are two divine names. There are two divine names which shine the light of Bina. The Ariya Kadosh says that every Elul we have to focus on these names, and meditating on these names, if you want something practical, brings the light of Elul in the deepest way possible. So the names are what's called Kasa and what's called Sag. Now, Kuf Samech Aleph is Kasa, but it's really hinting to the numerical value of the name of 161. And Sag is numerical value 63. So it's hinting to two names, the name of the numerical value 161 and the name of numerical value 63. Getting a little technical for a second. Are you ready? Fine. The two names that shine the light of Bina, so that's obviously indicating that there's two forms of Bina. There's two different levels of Bina. So it goes like this. The first is called Kasa, and the name of Kasa is Aleph Hey Yud Hey. And I'm going to see if I can quickly do this in the easiest way possible. I told myself I wouldn't, but here we are doing it anyway. And I'm going to write the name on the board like this. Let's see if I can do it without thinking at all. Go, Google, Zoom. Okay, here we go. This is how Kasa looks. Now, it's taken from a full expression of the divine name called Aleph, Hey, Yud, Hey. So this is a very holy name. And there's another holy name we're going to explore right now. You can all see this, right? I'm not just drawing to myself. That's helpful to know. Yud, Hey, because I already know this, you know. I already saw this class. These are two of the most powerful names of Hashem. This is one of the most famous names of Hashem. And this is another very, very powerful name. Okay, but these names have particular ekia, this one here. Can you see where my pen is? You see my pen moving around the page? No, you can't. Okay, great. Ekia has three ways it's written, which are three potent Kabbalistic expressions of this name. And Havaya has four different co-names in particular, which are four different ways to write and express this. Do not be overwhelmed by anything I'm saying. Just hear it. It's just stuff you do or do not need to know, but there's power in them. Okay. Now, when I write out the name Ekia, this is called an Aleph. This is called an Aleph. This is called a Hey. This is called a Yud. And this is called a Hey. So I can write these names in their full expression, which is really double clicking on the sephirotic energies in each of the letters and giving them the full expression. And that adds up to each letter is written in a full way. So listen how this works. I can write an aleph. Every letter has other letters that make it up. So what's this? Aleph, I write a. It's really hard to write like this, using all my brain cells. Aleph. This will be tricky. Let's do it like that for now. So this is just writing out aleph. You can all see what I did there right now. Great. And this is called a hey. So one of the ways I can write hey is like hey. You got that? And then comes a yud. So I can write the yud like this. Now, my friends, you should not be copying this onto paper because these are extremely, extremely powerful energetic words. And if you have to put them on paper, then you put lines between them before you write that. Okay? But aleph, hey, yud, and then we do hey. If anyone's written this down, it must go in a geniza. You can't just throw it in the bin. So fine. Aleph, hey, yud, hey. Can anyone see that? Aleph, hey, yud, hey? Wonderful. Now that aleph, hey, yud, hey, if you add up all these letters, you get to the numerical value of 161, which you write in Hebrew as 100 is a kuf, and then 60 is a samach. It's a really bad samach. And then there's the aleph. So here we go. Now, wait, I'm going to do this in a second to explain it to you. Here is one of the biggest divine names. Here is one of three secret names hidden. Sorry, here is one of the biggest divine names. Here is one of the three secret names hidden within that, which is revealed simply through writing out the way you say the letters. And that all adds up to 161. And the way we write the name 161 is Kasa. That's the numerical value. So this is Kabbalistically known as the name of Kasa. Has everybody got that? How did you go with that? And now we're going to play the same game again. This is the famous Shem Havaya, the Tetragrammaton, the most powerful of the divine names and the root of all the names that comes after it. In the Milah, in the full expression, there's 4 different full expressions, and each one has its own power. So one of them in this context is Yud. The first letter is Yud. So I write Yud. Can everybody see that? Great. And then the Hey. So here I write Hey. Wonderful. And then comes the Vav. So I write, Vav looks like this. Vav, this is how you say it. Vav. Wonderful. And then finally comes another Hey. So all this is here is just the full expression of the name above it, but that means you're giving a full energetically loading power to it. By being conscious of the energetic forces behind it, you're drawing those forces in. Now, if you add up all these letters, you get the number 63. And 63, you write in Gematria, is just 60 is Sameth, and then Gimel, 3. And that is called the name Sag. These are 2 of the divine names. So in future, as we move on this week in the next session, as we go through these secrets, we're going to talk about the name Kasa. And the name Kasa hints to these letters and their power. And the name Sag just hints to these letters and their power. And Ekia over here has 3 different miluyim, 3 different expressions, and Kasa is one of them. The rest is not for today's discussion. And for the Shem Havaya, It actually has 4 secret expressions with 4 unique energies that are derived from its source within it. And it's called, this one is the second of the 4, and it's called Sag. Have you got that, my friends? Wonderful. So let the games begin. Now, these are deep meditations, and you can focus on these names and you draw them in your mind. You go into the Vegas and you keep just watching them and imagining, connecting to the light within them. Now, this is what we're going to begin to understand. These are two of the few names of the divine names. These are 2 of the most famous that we know, and we often refer to more frequently. Now, here we go. Are you following so far? Great. That wasn't so complex. Now the fun begins. If you add up Casa 161 and Sag 63, you get 224. 224 is the numerical value, is the gematria of the word derech, path. Okay. So the path through the yam, through the sea, the path is our source in Bina, because our Bina is our understanding, our clarity through the chaos of this world. The path, the light, the illumination of our mind, which helps us create a path through the chaos of our heart, happens to be made up of 2 of these very famous divine names, Casa and Sag. Okay, so Casa and Sag, V'shnei shemes ha'elu, Casa v'Sag, misparim b'gematria derech, v'hei mesiyim laha'adam hanimtze b'meitze b'toich hayam. These names give us Bina and create the path for us and help us through the chaos of darkness to do tshuva. Hu ha'olam hazeh, through the yam, this physical world, this world of samsara, this world of challenges, of our desires, of our fears, of our ego consciousness. Shehu spheres ha'malchus hanikri yam. The sphere of malchus is called the sea. Fine, and that's why, if you understand what I'm saying, you'll get it. If you don't understand what I'm saying, don't worry about this. The final of the 4 names of the divine name is called Ben or Ban, depending on which Kabbalistic circles you're learning in. And Ben or Ban is comes from the world of Malchus, of the lowest level. And that's B'yam. So what we're doing is, so here's the key point. V'gam malay b'klippas hanikus mitzulas hayam. Okay, so let me say this very clearly. These 2 names are co-names in Kabbalah for Bina. Those who learn Kabbalah know what I'm referring to. Shortly, we'll explain it in more depth. And they combined add up to derech, which gives us clarity of consciousness to go down into the heart of darkness and create seder and create a path and create healing and create release and guide us and heal us in the physical world, in the ben, in the struggle, in the chaos, in the marriage, in the workplace. All those arenas lets us draw the light down of clarity of Bina all the way down to the lowest level. The Mitzulas Hayam. The Mitzulas Hayam means the depth of the sea. It means the deeper I go down into the sea, there's all the octopuses and all the tentacles and all the sharks. There's all the things that I'm the deep into my heart of darkness that I'm struggling with. So these lights go very, very low into the timtum of the lave, into the tzimtzum of the heart, into that place that people don't realize they carry, where we go into a place of just eternal darkness, eternal despair, eternal hopelessness. And these lights can shine down into Malchus, into the lowest level, into the Yam, into the Mitzulas Hayam, the depth and darkness of the sea, which is a code word in Kabbalah for the clippers, for all the forces of resistance and pain and suffering of this world. And it causes us to come back and return to Hashem, right? By fixing tikkun amidas v'shipur ma'asim. Shipur means to improve our actions, to beautify our actions. And And these are the sources of two parts of consciousness. So we're going to explain them in a second that illuminate us. Now, let me explain this out. We said there's two forms of tshuva ilah and tshuva teta. Now, this is a little deep. I understand some of you love the deep stuff and some of you are very overwhelmed and bitter and resentful and just want it to be practical. So we're just going to dive into the deep stuff today. That's what we're going to do right now. That's what we're going to do right now. I've certainly spent years going practical stuff. And sometimes we can do the deep stuff, and that's okay. That's okay. It goes like this. There's two levels of Bina. Why am I teaching you this? I think it's funny too. Fine. There's two levels of Bina. I'm just going to say the technical words for those that like it. It goes like this. The technical words are Chachma and Bini Ila'a and Yisrael Sarva Utavuna. And that means in the world of Patsufim, a little technicalities of those that like it. In the worlds of Patsufim, there is two levels of Bina in our consciousness, and we need the light of both of them to transform us. And this is technical Kabbalah, but it's really teaching you the deepest parts of psychology and the deepest parts of transformation. And this is, yes, deeper than we usually go, but you should know they're there. There's a light of intellectual clarity and intellectual understanding which transforms us. And there's a light of spiritual understanding and the spiritual root of all our challenges and all our illumination that transforms us. Some days in a deep meditation, you don't understand what happened, but a tremendous release comes over you, or a tremendous yearning just to heal and it just awakens. It's not like you get where it came from. It's not like you get where it's going. It's not like you understand, oh, when I was 4 years old, that happened, or this is why I went through that abusive marriage, or this is that guilt that I never realized I had, right? That's all understanding, but there's something actually deeper than that. So there's a level of Bina called Bina Ilah, which comes from the superconscious soul. And we need that energetic field of transformation and awareness that creates an energetic field and context for the intellectual understanding and growth and awakening. Some people are very intellectually into, I have a certain example in my mind, I don't know if it's good to use it. Let me say, okay, but by way of parable, I do not take this literally. Let's say there's some guru in India you like to follow because you like the mystical stuff. And let's say there's Tony Robbins you like to follow because the practical stuff, right? So Tony Robbins is kind of like the intellectual Bina. Like he's like coaching. He's like, here's the technique. Here's get up and jump up and down and go through a very cognitive behavioral therapy. It's very, you understand it. You heal it, you choose to make a difference, right? Now we're going to map out the process of change, and then we're going to act on it for a few minutes each day, and then we'll journal about it. So it's a very cognitive approach to transformation, and it's deeply necessary. And then there's a supernatural, energetic, higher conscious calling, awakening, intuitive, and yearning suddenly that comes over me. I don't know where it came from. And a lot of people try to change through a cognitive approach. And some people get a lot of way. And another, it's just not enough. It doesn't break through. And I apply it, or I can't apply it. I do some days and I don't. And the people walk through life in darkness for many years and nothing works. And suddenly they're struck by proverbial energetic lightning, and they literally go to the kotel and pour their eyes out, and they say, I don't even know why I'm crying. I don't even know what's awakening in me. And one day they change everything. So you understand there's two lights happening here. And this is connected to tshuva teta'a, the lower level of tshuva, the conscious, the behavioral, the cognitive approach, which is fundamental and excellent and necessary. But there's an energetic one as well. Now, there's the source of tshuva that my divine soul awakens. And when my divine soul awakens, we see this we do elevation meditation retreats. When somebody hits that light, literally in a second, everything can transform. With no more understanding of connection. It's just all the ego infrastructure collapses and releases in a moment, because this new great light shines. Maybe you felt in your life. And by the way, sometimes people feel if they go to meditation retreats, or they go to Israel, or they go to something, they have such a spiritual awakening on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, and everything is illuminated, everything's awakened, and they say, I'm like that forever, and I'm never going back. And sometimes the day later, they collapse back into the stuff because they had the spiritual, energetic awakening, as the Rebbe Rashab discussed as well, but they don't bring it down through Bina. They don't bring it down into real understanding, into practical shifts and change. So when the light comes, they are shifted, but when the light goes, they're stagnant still, right? So as everybody's seeing, there's two lights. I'm doing my best to try and break these down understandable way. Shem Yazor. So these lights are the roots of the spiritual, energetic root in consciousness and the higher world of Tshuva Ilah and Tshuva Tata. That's what I'm trying to share with you today. That means you need them both, and they're both necessary. And one is called the upper level of Bina, which is connected to Chokhmah and is sourced in the Partsuf of Chokhmah. And one is, technical language, is Yisrael Sava Utavuna, and the Tavuna is also a form of Bina, and it's also the cognitive form of Bina. And here we go. Are you ready? Ekia is the superconscious. Therefore, the name of Ekia, the name of Kasa that comes from Ekia, is the Kabbalistic word for Bina in the superconscious state. The energy of tshuva that comes from the superconscious state is code word Kasa. And the name Yud-Hey Vav-Hey, the same Havaya, and the name Sag, Av, Sag, Ma, and Ben. The name Sag is the level of Bina, is the level of Tshuva, is the energy of Bina and Tshuva that comes from the conscious state, the Bina, the parts of Bina, in the conscious cognitive mind. So you need both of these lights, and we need them working together. Now, let me say that without the Kabbalistic language. The secret, whether you know it or not, again, you don't need to know all these things to have their effect, but when you know these things, you know them deeper. Number one is you begin to understand all the depth of what's necessary for the full transformation and to leverage them powerfully and consciously with intention when they're there and when they happen, number one, or how to access them when they don't. So there's cognitive value in understanding this, and there's supernatural value in understanding, because yes, as you learn about them and put your attention on them, then you begin to draw down the lights of them and connect them. This is the secret of learning Kabbalah. The secret of learning Kabbalah is the learning itself, is the attachments through the ideas, through the places, through the systems, which connects us to them and wakens those energies within us. Okay. So learning itself is energetically transformative when done with the right consciousness. Now coming back down to a simple level, there's two energies and consciousnesses that we need to transform ourselves. The desire, sense, and power of tshuva of the conscious mind, and the desire, sense, and power of tshuva of the divine superconscious spiritual mind, soul mind. Do you sense how both of those exist in your life? Do you sense how some days you feel awakening, but none of the cognitive? Some days you're doing the cognitive work and it's great, but you don't accessing the deeper field, that things are catalyzing, not quite coming together, still in Bina separation mode, fine. And therefore, by focusing on these two names, we begin to be able to draw in the energy to catalyze both of them. And if you put those two names together, click, you get the word derech. You get the word derech. Because those two forces of awakening, conscious and superconscious awakening, begin to come down into our heart and come down into our life and come down into the ocean to create a path of clarity to see what is right or wrong, good and bad, and what I'm doing, and to see the things I'm trying to break through on. Oh, now I get what's going on. And now I see the path to release it. And now I feel just so energetically open that I want to release it. And I'm not dragged into the darkness. And I feel light. I feel guided down that path. And I have the tools and the resources, the Yad D'Shma, and the right person comes to me, say the right thing. He gives me perfect clarity, right? And I feel a desire to work on it, to break through it, to work with the therapist, to do that meditation, so it's all coming in. It's all catalyzing. The way I get it to come in and catalyze is by focusing on those two different divine names, You don't even have to understand them. In fact, when you focus on them, you don't use your cognitive mind. You just say the letters and look at them, or just watch them and just imagine light within them. And you just, because you're attaching your superconscious mind, what's called your keta, your chachma, to the energy within them alone. And that begins to trickle in. And the time to do that is Elul, because this is when those two lights are deeply catalyzed. Okay, this is deep, and we haven't even started the deep stuff. So I think it's interesting to conduct this experiment to learn a little real Kabbalah together. And this is what we're doing right now. V'shtei shemes ha'elul, the kasef of the sag, this poem of gematria derech. Those two names add up to derech. V'hem mesiyim la'adam, these energetically and cognitively help us and guide us, and imsa b'meitza b'trichiyam, that guides us, right? B'meitza, that we're in stress and lachatz and pressure and challenges, in the middle of the ocean of desires, the samsara, who are olam hazeh, in this physical world, in the darkness of our consciousness, through spheres samak, which is called the yam. V'gam malay b'klipas anikus b'tzilas yam, or mavakis l'shiv, when we desire to return to Hashem and do tikkun amidus and shipur amaisim, it's called lahi'ir loy haderech, that Hashem should shine the derech v'yelech bo v'sakenes ma'asav. Fine. Questions, clarifications. How are you going, Baruch? Is this good for you? You're following?
Oh my gosh, I love it. But
Yay.
I have a question.
Yes. Go on.
Rabbi Nachman in Torah Vav,
We're about to get to that, by the way.
he talks about the kavanot of Elul. Is this what he means?
Yes. Well, he's pulling from this Ari, which we're about to bring in Rabbi Nachman. So you had Ruach HaKodesh, you're 100% aligned, and he's about to quote the Sifsei Chen, he's about to quote Rabbi Nachman and show us how all that's aligned. So Rabbi Nachman's also bringing from the Uri HaKadosh, talking about these kavanas, and we're going to learn about as the path of Tshuva of Rabbi Nachman as well. So beautiful.
So when you say meditate on these letters and words and see the light in them and da-da-da, is that the meditation? Is that the kavana?
That's, well, yes, but the understanding of it is, and then first we understand what's happening within them, behind them, and then that's the first level, and then we clear our mind and we look at the letters, knowing what lights we're drawing from. So we're going to get there.
Okay.
Lad. But we're going straight to Rabbi Nachman now, Torah Vav, Mamash. Yes, questions? Hello, if you have a microphone, hello, turn them on. We're going to keep people human rather than talking in text. There's no sound coming there, Hila. You can work on your mic. Great. Do tshuva for your microphone. Questions? Yes, Shifra.
Clarification. You said yes. Ben is also a name of Hashem?
Right. Okay, so that's a little complex. Remember how I said the name Yud Hey Vav Hey? Most favorite is names. It actually has 4 expressions, and Sag is one of them. There's four ways of writing out the divine name. So 4 represents, the first one is called Av, which is the Shem Havaya with the energetic expression of Chachma, higher consciousness. The second one is called Sag, which is the Shem Havaya with the Bina consciousness. That's what we're learning about today. And then the third is called Ma, which is the Shem Havaya written with the emotional consciousness of Zer Anpin. And the final one is called Ben, which is the Havaya with the expression of consciousness, which is Malchus, which is the body. So it's interesting is Bayam in the ocean represents the body, the physical, the lower world. And Bayam is numerical value Ben, which is for another class at another time, the final lower expression. So what does that mean? In Kabbalistic language, as you said earlier, we're bringing the Sag down to the Ben. We're bringing the Bina down to the Malchus. We're bringing intellectual, cognitive awareness into our challenges to create clarity. We're bringing the light of the divine into the physical world to create divine manifestation rather than divine concealment. So in all these models and all these systems, there's a Kabbalistic archetypes which are operating behind them. And when you have an emotional breakthrough, or you make money on Wall Street, or you eat an apple, or your wife feels depressed because you're not home enough, all of these things are playing out expressions of divine paradigms. And if you understand the codes behind them and the letters behind them, then you tune into the DNA of reality, and you can shift the external reality through focusing on the internal mystical root and genetic and energetic DNA of the cosmos. So we're looking at external thing, what we're learning about the names and the letters, the root of them, and then we're going to learn what he's teaching as a meditation, which is then to focus on the energetic root in order to shift the consciousness itself through that.
Why is Malchus considered on a lower level? Isn't Malchus?
That's the definition of Malchus, is that which seems to be separate. The physical world does not appear to reveal the divine, right? It's a place where the divine is concealed. But our work here is to reveal the divine in the physical world. So Malchus represents the furthest from the source, the end, the disconnected place, the place that appears to be darkness, from which we reveal and draw the light and revelation into it. It represents the struggle, the pain, it represents the physical, it can represent the heart, it can represent the female who feels lost and disconnected and chaotic. But of course, all the light is there and all the revelation is there, but that is the work to reveal the highest light in the lowest places of the world. So that's called revealing the Chachma, or in this context, the Bina, all the way down in the Malchus. That's what we're doing on Rosh Hashanah. All of Rosh Hashanah is about Binyan Malchus. All the Rosh Hashanah say, Hashem, we want you to be king because we are the Malchus. Knesset Yisrael, we are here to reveal the light of Hashem in the physical world. How do we do that? That we yearn up, that we want to give expression. What does it mean? We are the Malchus of Hashem, means we want to give expression and illumination of Hashem into this world. And we want to be a vessel for that. And we want to separate from our darkness in our lives and turn to our inner light, separate the Tov, the Ra, the Eitzadas Tovara, which Adam ate from on that day, okay? Adam was born and he ate from it. So we separate the Ra and we say we want to be good. And therefore Malchus separates from the darkness around it. And Malchus turns back to a source and says, I want to be a vessel to reveal your light in the world. And then the Malchus can begin to be healed and return to her true nature. And as the Malchus is on the day of Rosh Hashanah, that's how we are judged for the whole of the year. So these are the models and these are the patterns we're discussing as we'll see this week and next week as well. Any other questions or clarifications right now? Fine. So let's go a little further. Are you ready? So the first thing we're seeing is that the time of Elul, which is the time of Bina, and Bina consciousness comes in to transform the heart. That's called tshuva, to return the heart to its source and deeper awareness and deeper intention. But then the heart should go against our higher intentions. It should be aligned, it should return to deeper consciousness, deeper understanding, and deeper intention. Fine. And therefore, Bina is gematria Elul, because Elul is the time when Bina shines. But to do tshuva, to return, my friends, you need two lights. You need two lights. You need the divine light of tshuva and the conscious light of tshuva. Fine. And that's called the light of Kasa and the light of Sap. So we have to do tshuva and be a master in that tshuva of two different levels and draw in that light in two different levels to achieve the full transformation we need during this time. To create a path through the sea. The Tevis Derech, the Teva of Derech, the letters of Derech add up, the numerical value of Derech, Gam Communion base Pamim Hashem Yavak. Now he's bringing straight from Rabbi Nachman to Vav. And the Breslov is cheer. But if you learn the Ari like Breslov, we're learning the Ari. And like Mekubalim cheer. But you really know it's all in the Zohar anyway. So you cheer. But everything's in the Chumash, so what do you want? And the Malachim go, yeah, it was all in your own self before you guys even created. And the Malachim cheer, and that cheer keeps us going. B'teves darach oila gam kaminyan beis pamim Hashem yavach. Fine. There's a holy name of Hashem. Would you like to learn another holy name of Hashem? It is the name Yud Beis Kuf. Please don't make me write in this horrendous app again. Whiteboards, new whiteboard. Fine, I'm not going to do that. Oh, it's just chaos. Here we go. And it goes like this. See what I do for you all? It's just unbelievable. Yud, base. It's a terrible base. And then Kuf. Don't write this without breaking up the letters. This is just breaking up the letters. Yavak. Yud base Kuf. You got that? That is a holy name of Hashem, don't you know? Fine. But Derech has 2 times the name Yud base Kuf. Kuf base Yud is 112. 2 times 112 is 222. Pretty good for Kabbalists. And 222 is Derech. Therefore, Derech is made up of 2 times Yavak. Good, you got that? Now, Yavak is a very interesting name. Shehu Rashi Tevis, it's put down. Rashi Tevis means there's certain lines, psukim. So if you go to Psalms, chapter 20, line number 10, you're going to see the pasuk Hashem Hashia Hamelach Yanenu V'Yom Kareinu. Now listen to the meaning of this line. Hashem, save us, because you're the king that answers us in the day we call. What's the day we call? When we're in Malchus, when we're in the Yam, when we're struggling the darkness, when we're overwhelmed with the pain and the trauma of our hearts. So then we turn up to Hashem and we say, answer us, turn to us, flood us down with light, show us a derech, show us a path. On the day when we call up from the darkness, then Hashem, give us a path, give us a light, give us a illumination. So it says, Ya'anenu b'yam kareinu. Ya'anenu, he will answer us, b'yam, on the day, at the time, kareinu, that we call. Ya'anenu b'yam kareinu. Ya'anenu, yud, b'yam, base, kareinu, kuf. There's the name, Yavak. Not for today's discussion, but all through Kabbalah and the mystical writings, Rabbi Nachman's also very, very strong on this. When you have a holy line from the Torah, and you see that the Rosh Tevas or Sofer Tevas, the beginning letters, all spell out a name, that means everything in that line, in that pasuk, is energetically rooted in that divine name. And the divine names are revealed to us, the 42-letter name and all the 72-letter name, all these names are revealed to us through certain patterns of letters within psukim. So it's not a coincidence. So this line is saying, answer us when we call, when we are going through suffering and darkness, when we are in the Yam and we have to reach up for your light and revelation, that we need that derech. We need that healing to come down to the Yam. The beginning of the letters, Yanenu b'yam kareinu, that is Yavak. Does everyone hear that? And there's also another line, also uncoincidentally in the same Tehillim, Psalms, chapter 20, line base, number 2. Ya'anecha Hashem b'yam sarah. Hashem will answer us when we are suffering. It's exactly the same theme. Can you hear it? Same theme. When I'm suffering, when I'm going through sorrow, through suffering, through pain, and I call up to Hashem and he answers me. How does Hashem answer me? He brings down light. He brings down clarity. He brings down illumination. He either changes the world cognitively, externally, the situation changes, or he changes our consciousness internally. Sometimes when you're suffering with a big challenge, sometimes the external transformation of Hashem answering your prayer is the challenge stops. The person says, I don't need that money anymore. The mafia says, I'll leave you alone. I won't keep knocking at your door. You're alone for many years and you find out your perfect soulmate. So sometimes the challenge changes. That's the external part of the Bina. Sometimes you're in the challenge, but you feel suddenly so calm and joyful, and you have so much illumination of why it's happening. It's not even a challenge anymore. And what's the best? When both happen, right? The higher light of Bina, the lower light of Bina, the Kasa and the Sag. You understand what we're saying? So listen very carefully to this. It's very, very fascinating. Ya'anecha Hashem b'yom sarah. Hashem answers you, he illuminates you, he gives the path, the life, through the tshuva, the bina, through the tzara, through the suffering, through the yam. So the tzaddik says, Ya'ancha Hashem b'yom sarah. Look at the letters again. Ya'ancha is Yud. Hashem begins with Yud. Bayam with a base. And sarah is tzaddik. Tzaddik base is 92. Yud, 102, 112. In Gematria, an even deeper hidden revelation, which means it comes from a higher place, the Bina Ilah, then that's also Yavak, the same letters as Yavak. So we see Yavak is hidden here twice. Can everybody see that? And where is it hidden? What's the power of Yavak? It's hidden in a place where it's saying we are suffering in the darkness and Hashem illuminate us. Send a ha'ara, send a new energy to open, to expand, to heal, to reveal, to set us free. Through this illumination, this light, this glow, this influx, Nase Eis Ratzon, suddenly a time of auspiciousness, of revelationing, of opening comes to us. V'Shem is Barak Shemai. He receives our tshuva with love, and transforms us. Okay, so listen very carefully to this. Go back to what we're saying. Listen to this; it's very, very deep. The tevas derech oila gamma minyan. The word for derech is 2 times yavak. What does it mean? 2 times yavak. Are you ready for this? So the fans of Rebbe Nachman and the Riyah Kodash, but especially Rebbe Nachman, this is the beautiful, beautiful Torah of Rebbe Nachman. And I'm trying to teach you Kabbalah and stare at my screen and look at whiteboards at the same time. Yavak. If you turn around the word Yavak, you get the word, oh, come on. You get the word Baki. You get the word Baki. Is that amazing? I think that's amazing. Rebbe Nachman's a genius. People don't understand. What does the word Baki mean? A Baki means a master. When you become a Baki of something, you know it so well, you know it so deeply. You become an expert, says Yocheved, an expert and a master on that subject or that meditation. So fine. Yavak is Gematria Baki. And you need 2 Yavaks to create the derech. Like you need 2 energies of tshuva. Is everyone with me? So if you've ever learned Rabbi Nachman, Torah Vav, Rabbi Nachman says on the spiritual approach of tshuva and personal development, you have to become a baki of 2 different things. And what he's saying is so deep because he's sourcing from the Riyah Kodash. So this is what he says. Now, again, go with the flow. Don't overthink it. Just understand each detail. And we'll go over it again. You'll start to see, I start to see the levels of what's happening here, how deep it's going. Then it opens you up to hasagas. This opens up to true a psychedelic awareness of everything catalyzing together because you're moving to your right brain, you're moving to spiritual energetic influx in the right brain. So it goes like this. The Tevis Yud Beis Kuf, who oisias Baki, she'al yidei ha'aras habei shemis halalu kasav asag, she'hei misparam shtei pamim yavak, me'ygia la'adam shnei minei b'kiyas b'dacha v'ofnei tshuva. Unbelievable. Isn't it unbelievable? The Tavis Yud Base Kuf, I'm sure someone's going to say, Rabbi, you're not supposed to say that name. Who always says Baki? Sha'al Yudei Ha'ares Habeis Shemes Ha'alu. Through the energetic influx that we receive, through focusing on these names of Kasa and Sag, of these two forms of Bina, right? Of each one being Yud Base Kuf, of the Yavak, then Shehei Misparam Shtei Pamim Yavak, that forms the Derech, Megir La'adam Shnei Minei Bekirs, we become masters and experts at the two forms and paths of tshuva. What are the two forms and paths of tshuva? The Inyan Abeis Minei Bekirs Haim. So if you ever learn Rabbi Nachman, this is what he's talking about. L'chazak atzmai b'darkei Hashem tamid ben ba'aliyah or ben yirida. There's two things that freak us out most in life and where we lose ourselves. When things are going spectacularly well and when things are going spectacularly not well. When we win the lotto, when we find our soulmate, when we're breaking through in yeshiva and suddenly understanding everything is all coming together, there's a kind of danger at that time. One of the dangers, if you've ever done a very intense meditation retreat, again, I say it all the time, some people do the ayahuasca, is when they get so high and they blow out of their body in such a deep way. I remember my first major spiritual experience I had in my life. No, not at all the psychedelics. I remember this feeling of, I'm a perfect spiritual being right now. And I never have to go back to that darkness ever again. And I'm going to live on this level of revelation all the time. And I'm one of those guru types. And I will know no suffering and I know no challenge. And this is me forever. So there's a tremendous danger that can happen when a person breaks through. The ego can kick in. They can think themselves more perfect than they are. They can sometimes, I remember in yeshiva when I used to have those periods where Moichin de Gadlus, it's called Yamei Ava, not Yamei Sina, is the experience of you almost, sometimes you put the pedal to the metal too much. You feel, I'm so high, I'm so connected, right? It's almost like I'm not saying it's a manic state, but it's what some people can experience in a destructive way in a manic state. It is a good state. If it was really a manic state, then it would not be an Aliyah, be a reader, right? It was some Messiah syndrome. I'm not even talking about that at the beginning yet, right? I'm not talking about dysfunction because remember, it's something that's innately good. He's saying something incredibly good is happening. By the way, when some people win the lotto, when some people get their 5 minutes of fame, when some people find their soulmate and finally feel I'm going to be loved, all their darkness comes out of that moment. Sometimes you know what that darkness looks like? It looks like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to hate me now, or everything's going to blow up now because nothing ever goes good for me. And the fact that something's going good for me, then obviously, it's all going to go bad for me. So they're so used to negativity that the positivity can blow them up. Sometimes they get another challenge of the positivity is they get so comfortable. It's so easy. I don't have to work hard. I can sit back and relax. This is so good for me, right? So there's all these challenges that come from a high, from a positive, from an aliyah. And one of them is sometimes you think it's you and you don't think it's Hashem. That's also a challenge. And sometimes you think it's going to be there forever. And sometimes I remember yeshiva when I used to be learning so amazing. I used to understand everything and slug up the Rebbe. I used to never want to leave the base medrash and learn and learn and learn and learn. And that sounds really wonderful. But a person can, when you begin to go down and you keep pushing yourself on that level, a person can really damage themselves, right? So there's a way that you have to learn to ride the highs and become an expert in the times of blessing. How do you ground yourself? How do you earth yourself? How do you make the most of it and not become lazy, right? How do you not make the most of it too much that you burn yourself out, right? How do you keep doing on that high and still have gratitude for Hashem and not say, well, that's because I'm so worthy and I'm so perfect, right? How do you stay humble when the blessing comes? So there's a whole form of tshuva that we have to do now another dimension of tshuva, that we have to learn to become a baki and a master in the times of elevation. And then, of course, you'll understand something, unfortunately, we understand more. There's a time of how to become masters and experts of the time of darkness, because most of us collapse in our spiritual development when it gets to darkness. We hit despair, we hit surrender, we hit anger, we hit bitterness, we let go of God, we let go of ourselves, we let go of hope. We try and hold on, then we blow ourselves up. We try and get ourselves out, and we can't. We say, nothing's working. Hashem hates me. We start with the shame. We start with guilt tripping ourselves. We start with blaming and pointing everybody else, what everybody else did to me, with no sense of personal responsibility or ownership, 100% victim consciousness. We fall into all our traps. And the number one trap we assume is that Hashem does not exist in this place. This is the abyss. And it's eternally me floating and falling into infinite darkness and into infinite despair. And I always say, when people in that state, when talking to people in that state, the only thing that's infinite is a shame. Even though it feels like this nothingness will go on forever, this fear will last forever, this abandonment and aloneness will last forever, this stuckness will last forever. It doesn't last forever. It can't last forever. But we give up at that moment. In some way, we give up in that moment. So Rabbi Nachman is now teaching us, and through the Sif Seichein, a very important principle, that if you become a baki, a master, an expert, in the highs and the lows, to return to Hashem in the highs, to return to Hashem in the lows, then there's nothing in life that can't shake you. And there's nothing in life that can't elevate you. And what you find is a path through both of them, that you're no longer high, but the high falls to a crash, and the crash, you have to drag yourself to a high. You start to find a path, a derech, through which you can catalyze both extremes. When you can catalyze and master yourself in both extremes, nothing can shake you. Because you're a baki, you're a master, you're an expert in both fields. And it's a very, very deep thing, rather than stumbling through stuff in life and kind of picking yourself back up or saying, well, that went well, or that sucked, right? It's a very, very profound thing to begin to map your life into godless and catness, the light and the darkness, the highs and lows, and realize there's just as much danger in both, and there's just as much opportunity in both, and there's absolutely just as much avodas Hashem in both, and each has their own path of return. Each has their own path of return. You have to be a baki in high and a baki in low. And that means you're a yavak and you're a yavak. And if you see the divine name of yavak in the high, and you see the divine name of yavak below, then together you have a derech in life, because they both add up to the lashon of derech. So another way to explore tshuva is realizing that tshuva is everywhere. And tshuva means to return to Hashem, is to find the kasa in the high and the sag in the low. Now listen very carefully to this. This is mind-blowing. B'tevis Yud Beis Kuf Hu Oisius Baki Sha'al Yidei, through this light and illumination of these two names of Kasa v'Sag, Shehem b'Misparim Shtei Pamim, and then the number of them, adding them up, is 2 times Yavak, is 2 times a Baki, is 2 times an expert. Shnei Minei B'Kiyas, we have to become Bakis and experts in the 2 different paths of tshuva. There's a path of tshuva we have to do to Hashem when all's going wrong, because we need to return to Hashem from that place of darkness. And there's a path of tshuva that we need to do when everything's going right, because v'chalta v'savata v'rafta, the Torah commandment to make a blessing on food is not before you eat. The rabbinic commandment is to make it before you eat. The Torah commandment is to make it after you eat. V'achalta, you eat. Vasavata, and you feel satiated, or Varachta, and then you bless. Why is it a bigger mitzvah to bless after you eat? Because when you're satiated, because listen to what we just said. Hashem Asher HaMelech Yanenu B'Yom Kareinu. Ya'ancha Hashem B'Yom Sarah. Everybody prays to Hashem when we're going through darkness, when we're going through struggles. The question is, can you return to Hashem when you eat and when you're satiated? As our children always joke in the Katz household, V'achalta v'savata v'rafta. V'rafta is also in Atiyat B'chalafat, v'rafta, and you flee and you run away. V'achalta, and you eat and you're satiated, and then you run away. Who's got time for blessings now? I'm going to play and have fun and do whatever I want. I'm going to run away from God. Most of us run away from Hashem when the good times come. When suffering happens, it's like, Hashem, why did you abandon me? And when good times come, it's like, Hashem, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't need you. Everybody knows the joke about the guy trying to find the car park. Hashem, please answer my prayer. I just see the car park, just one car park. Hashem, please. He drives around. Hashem, please, I have to get to my meeting. Please be with me. You're my father. Where are you? Hashem, please. He drives around. He can't find. He's going to be late for his meeting. Hashem, I'm begging you. You never do anything. One time, give me a car park. And suddenly a car turns out and there's a car park. And what does the man do? Hashem, don't worry. I got a car park without you. I'm fine. And he drives in, right? Right? I was hungry. I got what I needed. And now I run away from Hashem. So there's a whole form of tshuva when you get all the blessing, you get all the goodness, and then you turn back to Hashem, and then you turn light back to Hashem, and then you have the humility to say, that was also Hashem. Now listen very carefully to this. What are these two levels of expertise? To strengthen yourself and find the path of divine consciousness and gratitude and connection, whether you're up in the aliyah, in the attic, in the heights, in the state of ecstatic revelation, and whether you're down, whether you're crashing, whether you're burning, whether you're fragmented, whether you're in trauma. Both of them, Hashem is there as well. V'achad hayinu she'im yizka le'eza aliyah, when a person somehow merits, is somehow gifted to any kind of blessing and goodness or madrega, to reach a higher level, al yistapeg bezeh, don't become overwhelmed, don't become worried about that, don't get lost in that. Like yadav yamin, it's not, wow, this came to me. No, I know and I'm conscious of, and I have a munah to perceive. Make the most of it. Fly, grow, learn. Don't become guilt-ridden, overwhelmed, or ashamed, or egotistical, or lazy. Fly and go and make the most of all the avoda that you can there. That's the kasa. That comes from bina ila'ah. That comes from the highest state, right? So you're now accessing, it's an ecstatic, spiritual, psychedelic, meditative state of blessing, of moichin de gadlus in your life. You're going through that period of your life of marriage after months or weeks or days or years of darkness, of challenge. Suddenly it opens it up. Wow, it's not just, hey, nice, I feel loved there. I guess all the work paid off. Now get to know the person deep and create new rituals together and create a date night each week and create beautiful practice of respect and love and speak from your heart and by each other. Because really make the most of those beautiful opportunities, right? Now, this is from the Pasuk. Listen very carefully how deep and awesome this is. Shehu Marumas B'Pasuk in Tehillim, chapter 139, line Ches. Rabbi Nachman's quoting this. You ready? Im asek shamayim sham atah. The line says exactly this. If I ascend up to the heavens, you are there. Sham atah, you are there. And the light then goes on to say, where's the famous second half? But when I descend to the pit of destruction, of despair, hinecha, you are also there. So David HaMelech is, what's that, Raka?
You're here. Hinecha, you're here in the lowest depths of despair.
That's good. There. That's good. So you're adding that famous other drasha. It's a little too much detail for right now.
I learned it from you last year. You said it.
Yeah, I know. We did that. Good. But now Don't want to overwhelm the oilam as I did about the last 2 hours. So good. That's also a beautiful thing, right? When I go to heaven, you're Sham, because Hashem is the Dir Tachtonim. But when you're down in the physical world, in the lowest place, the Shekhinah is really with you, right? Okay, so fine. Beautiful. Thank you for paying attention. Awesome. This is what we want to say. Listen very carefully to this. This is awesome. This is deeper. So this is a line from Tehillim, that when I go to above, when I go to Hashem, when I go through the highs, I have to see Hashem is there. But even when I sink below, Hashem is also there. You've got the simple understanding? That's what we're learning. That's two forms of tshuva. The hardest tshuva is to see Hashem in the light, and the hardest tshuva is to see Hashem in the darkness. That sums up, again, we're seeing all these dualities of tshuva. That sums up everything we're doing and all our struggles in all our life. Now listen very carefully to this, my beautiful friends. Im asak shemayim. If I ascend to Hashem, what is the word for ascend? Asak, aleph, samach, kuf. Flip around the words. Kasa. In the pasuk about the ascent to do tshuva, to become a baki, is literally the word ascent, is the divine name of Bina Ilah. It's hidden in the line itself. So you see these mystics, what they're staring at. They're staring at the secrets of shining through in every possible level. Im esak shamayim. Af al pi sha'alel medrega gedola. Even if I go up to the highest level, sham ata yeshli gam sham lavoid Hashem yitbarach b'yoysa. I have to serve Hashem even more and see the blessing and goodness opportunity. Asak is the higher level that we said, which is rooted in the name Kasa. And the pasuk in Tehillim uses the letters Aleph, Samach, Kuf, hinting to you the mystical secrets that the power of this name, which is drawn out from the name Ekia, which is the form of the higher level tshuva, which is the ecstatic state of doing tshuva and returning in the highest level of tshuva ma'ava, of opening up and seeing your life and your purpose and feeling so much joy and blessing and light that all the darkness collapses and falls away. The line tells us how to do it, and it even hints to it when it sends the ascent. It hints to us the energetic root of that, which is the name Kasa. Ubekir Shnia. And what's the second one? We'll end on this one today. We'll hopefully conclude next week. Ubekir Shnia Hilahefek. Listen to this, how deep it is. What's the second form of tshuva? This is the one we're usually used to. Shefilo im yapol chas v'kol b'shul taftios. When a person falls into despair and darkness, the deepest struggles of their life. Gam kain al yid yesh. Don't give up. Don't despair. When people think I'm so holy, everything's going well, I'm so holy, I'm into meditation, into Dveikism, into inner work, I'm into Shem Torah, and then the darkness sets in and they give up and they lose despair and they hit that rock bottom and they pull back from the hard work, they pull back from that work of finding Hashem. They withdraw from the spiritual development. Let's very carefully do this. You have to constantly find Hashem, even more so in the darkness. It says in Kabbalah, especially in the Chabad Sfam, Hashem is more in the darkness than he is in the light. It's one of the deepest secrets in the world, the divine names of Hashem in the darkness. The darkness itself is sourced in the deeper ratzon of Hashem to create the world. Because there was more natural light before Hashem created the world, but there wasn't darkness. That means darkness serves a greater purpose than the light does. Darkness has a greater divine revelation in it because through the darkness, we are made in the image of God. We become co-creators. We become lovers with the divine through the darkness itself. And therefore, there's a greater revelation. That's why it says, when you see Hashem and Shemayim, Sham, who Hashem is there. But there means even in the heavens when things are good, there's a greater light you reveal in the darkness. So listen to this, my friends. Don't collapse. Don't give up trying to find Hashem in the darkness. Don't be a person that only serves the divine, sees the divine when things are good. When I'm at that meditation retreat, when I'm in that high ecstatic state, then I'm into the divine. But the second I go back into the world, my ego, lust, fear, doubt, shame, anger, control, competition takes over me, and there's no Hashem there. But on Shabbos, then I'll be close to Hashem. No. Wherever you are, wherever you're up to, even if you've lost everything, Ki gam b'she'ol tachtios, there in the lower pits of darkness and despair, facing your biggest challenge, feel like you've shattered and you've broken and you collapsed and you utterly failed, and there's no point in doing anything. Hashem is there. He's in that moment. He's waiting for you to find him. There's some healing, there's some gift, there's some blessing, there's some joy, there's some growth that can happen right there. In fact, it's so powerful. Hashem wanted you to go there. He believes in you that he could take you all the way there to give you the biggest revelation, the biggest breakthrough of your life, of your lives. That's what he took you there for. And right there, you are able to cleave to Hashem in a way that it was impossible to all of history, space, time, and consciousness until you were right there and then. This is the revelation of Sag that goes down into Bina, the Bina that comes down into the darkness. This is the lower level. Maloshen al tasei gavul oilam. Mishlei. In Mishlei, how do you say Mishlei in English? Mishlei. Parables, Proverbs. Got there in the end. Wow. 22, chapter 22, line 28. Al tasei gavul oilam. Do not remove yourself. Do not depart. Do not turn back from the gvul oilam, in this context, from the final physical, worldly limitations. When you hit rock bottom, don't give up. Don't turn back. Don't withdraw. Al tasei gvul oilam. Shemasi gvula. When you reach your gvul, your limits, right? You give up. You turn back. Shazer, don't do that. Don't give up. Don't surrender. The time when you're in a descent, so that you lost all your level, you lost your madregas, you thought you'd spiritually developed, you thought you finally had that breakthrough, and now you're back where you were, where you started, stuck, broken, hurt, wrecked everything again, even worse than before. My friends, listen to the words. Al taseg. Don't withdraw. Don't hold back when you hit rock bottom. Gavul oilam. Taseg. Seg is lashon samech gimel. The same sag. There in the words of when you give up, when you hit rock bottom, that is the name, the divine name sag. So the line that talks about reaching above, that's where you have to do tshuva. That's where you have to be a baki. One of those lines that hint about that state and that situation actually says the word kasa. That's the divine there. And another pasuk in Mishlei that's talking about hitting rock bottom and giving up. There in giving up is the divine name, Sag. That's why I need to draw the divine consciousness there in the surrender, in the yish, in the despair, in the bitterness, in the tohu vohu, there in the abyss. The name of the abyss, and the despair and the giving up and withdrawing and pulling back, that is hinting to draw down the bina to there, draw that all the way down to understanding, clarity, to become a baki, a master there, to be yavak there, to be bina there, to find the derech there. It's unbelievable. See the names and the energies that are hidden in the psukim. Or melashid sigim. Sag it means pull back, to give up, to surrender in a negative way. Or melashid sigim. Sag also means sigim. Sigim shemagish benafsho shehu adayin mali kotzim besigim. Thorns and dross. Sigim is when you have the wine and you have the grapes to squeeze, and then they have the beautiful wine and the beautiful grape juice, but in the bottom is all the little dross left over, right? That we tip out. We don't want to drink that. So sigim are the dark, broken bits of us that aren't integrated, that aren't necessary, that are wasteful, that are destructive. So the word sigim, sag, is hinting to the divine name of Bina that can come down and heal that. So makdim rafula maka, in the darkness itself, the word hints to the source of energy, the influx of light, of revelation of Bina that can heal it. The cancer itself has within it the source of the divine name that can heal it, because Hashem loves us so much that he wants to show us, even when we're facing the sigim, the darkness, he wants to remind us of the light that we can draw on to transform ourselves. For afal pikain altit yesh, don't surrender, don't lose hope. Maramas b'sefer dekrav at sia sha'ol, when you descend into the pit, afal pi shagati, even though I've arrived to the lowest level and collapsed again. L'shul hinecha yesh li gam sham la'avoid Hashem Yisroach. Even there I can find Hashem. Even there I can draw on Sag. Even in the Sigam I can draw on Sag. Even in my despair I'm drawing on Sag. We need to become masters of, experts of these two levels. And both of these levels are hinted to by the name Baki, are the name Yavak, are the two different lights that we need to draw down from Bina, of the Kasa and the Sag. All this you see now, you see all these levels are hinted to in the pasuk. Hanoisem b'yam darach. Final line to conclude right now. We went over time together. I hope you forgive me. I hope you're finding this interesting. Hashem is barach shema noisen ha'aretz. He gives these two lights and energetic influxes. We need both of these energies to do tshuva, to transform the highs and lows of our life, to turn everything back to Hashem. Everything should be revelation to Hashem. During the month of Elul, during the month of the energetic influx of the Yavak, of the Kasa, of the Sag, we need both these dynamics of the super conscious energetic influx to transform and return, and the cognitive ability to do that to my heart, to my emotions, to my intellect, to my understanding, to transform and heal and return. To become a baki, we have to become an expert. An expert means I'm becoming Yavak. I'm aligning, I'm crossing over to return to Hashem. We are within the Yam, we're in the suffering, within the Bayam, in the Ben, in the darkness, in the pit of despair, of the physical reality, in the samsara, the spheres of Malchus, to shine. We need the lights of Bina, which are Chachman Keda, to shine into Malchus. This is giving Malchus to Hashem. This is giving Malchus, that all we do in Rosh Hashanah, Sheyedu'ul, the Bechor, B'derech, to know how to choose when in the good and the bad, right? B'char to B'chayim, the Tav and the Ra, to know how to choose to do tshuva, to constantly be tshuva, as Rav Kook says, to constantly in every level of life. Everything is tshuva. Everything is returning to Hashem. The Toiva HaYishara, there is Baki, B'beis, Darchei, HaTshuva, the Kedei L'shuv El Hashem, Liyois Tahor, V'roi, to return to Hashem in all parts of our consciousness, to be pure and to be fitting and to be a vessel and to be aligned. The Kois Yom Hashem Agad Ovanoed, as we get to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Rosh Hashanah, Habayim Aleinu L'Toiva. Fine. We're halfway there. There's a lot to say. Let's start one night. Just do a one-line emotional check-in. Where are you up to with this processing? Are you overwhelmed? You're just wanting it to be practical still? Are you finding some insights? Is it what? Is it what for you? Let's just start. Let's just hear everything. Where you are right now. Now I'm paying attention. Connie says, this is so inspiring. When you hit your limits, all your physical limitations, don't give up. Fran is loving this. Yael's finding it fascinating. Yocheved speak to everyone, not just to me. It's a lot to absorb. Need to listen to the 100 times or so. There's worse things to do. Shifa's at peace. I'm glad to hear. Sophie Billy says, I closed my eyes and felt into it when my mind was on fire with connecting things. Good. That's where to go. And through the teachings of Bina, when your mind's on fire, you go through the teaching to the feeling and you get to the light of Bina. This is the true psychedelic path. Onwards and upwards. Sandra says, amazing. Alex says, getting excited for Rosh Hashanah. Thalia says, love for so many ages, flooding me and finding inspiring, empowering, and exciting. Esther says, enjoying the depth of this, need to re-listen. Good. Worst things to do in Tel Aviv. Aviva says, need to go over it again to absorb, found it in the source. Connie says, tshuva at the lowest point, tshuva at the highest point, and tshuva is at every point in between. Yes. You're a student of Rav Kook. Abigail says, very heady for me at the moment. Understood. Feels very, very deep, says Hila. Pesach said, it's good to remember how Hashem is also in the darkness. Always good. Rocket says, bipolar people need to be experts at walking the Zed to light. Right. That's the derech, created by harnessing and stabilizing and unifying two extremes. Yitzhak, very beautiful, generates hopefulness. Chanel says, feel myself strengthening. Baruch Hashem. Baruch says, returning back to the center line. Elizabeth says, very profound, so into this. Cindy says, grabbing all I can, but what I'm getting is connecting. Fine. I know it's very late, but I just want to hear from you and share with you. So we're going to continue this next week. All of us are next week will be a Seves Yemei Tshuva. So it's all Tshuva. Fine. Questions, comments before we end.
What were the two types of tshuva, or maybe there's more, but you mentioned two names?
The Kasa and the Sag. So we're exploring all different dualities around those names. But in the simple way, we said tshuva has to awaken in a cognitive understanding. Why am I doing this? How is this happening? What's the breakthrough there? How am I going to work on it? What is the source of that emotion? Where is that coming from? Now I see the costs and benefits of keeping on with that. So there's the cognitive part that I want to do it, that I'm engaged in it, that I'm understanding it, that I'm growing. And then there's a superconscious part. The superconscious part is just a spiritual yearning I suddenly have. I just feel like I'm no longer connected to that, or I don't need it. I just go to the kotel and start crying. I just feel like energetically things are shifting and opening up, even if I don't quite understand it yet. It's the field and the space of awakening to the light within everything, awakening that Hashem is calling to me, and then I'm being guided that change is possible. Some people literally never do tshuva in life because they don't believe that change is possible. And one day they do, but nothing changed. Where did that come from? That's sag, that's tshuva ila'ah, that's a higher level of awakening. You'll meditate on that. You'll find that. Fine. Any other questions, my friends, right now? Okay, well, good. May we be blessed to do tshuva, to return to Hashem, and Hashem return to us. If you walk to Hashem, He'll run to you. Nila Dodi V'Dodi Li. Focus on those two names. Keep learning that pasuk. Just try, as we've learned before, the derech of the Baal Shem Tov, the derech is that you say the line, or you think of the letters of the words, and you think of the meaning or the associations connected with it, you bring up all those ideas, and then you just clear your mind, you draw in light and energy, and then you just say the line. Hanosein, B'yam, Darech. But when you say that, you focus on the letters, but you don't think cognitively at all. So the first is tshuva from conscious mind, thinking, meaning, understanding, and that awakens the vessel to tshuva from the superconscious mind to connect to the light and the energy behind it. You can just keep saying, just imagining the letters before you have the divine names, or saying the pasuk again over and over without thinking at all, just feeling the light and energy in it. But you begin with the external, and then you go to the internal. First there's sag, then there's kasa. And it brings in a lot of light and opens up paths and energy. Tamu or Ukitav. So it's interesting for you. May the paths open to you for tshuva in the deepest sense. To be continued, my friends. Over now.